So this video quickly summarizes the oxygen transport and the carbon dioxide transport and few of the important things that has to be remembered for the examination purpose. So if you compare the oxygen and the carbon dioxide transport, the first point is the oxygen transport is always in the downhill cascade and the carbon dioxide transport is in the uphill cascade. So if you see the partial pressure of the oxygen in the alveolus, it is 104 mmHg. So it is in mmHg. So in the arterial side it is 100 mmHg, in the tissue it is 30, and in the venous side it is 40 mmHg. Therefore the movement of the oxygen is from the alveolus to that of the tissue. So if you compare to that of the carbon dioxide, the partial pressure of the carbon dioxide in the tissue is 46 or 50 mmHg, in the venous it is 45, in the alveolus it is 40, and in the arterial side it is 40 mmHg. Therefore it is from the tissue towards the alveolus. And if you see the way of transport, the major way of transport of the oxygen is in binding with the hemoglobin, and it forms oxyhemoglobin. About 97.5 or approximately 98% is transported in this fashion, and the remaining 1.5 or 2% is in the dissolved form, which follows the Henry's law. So if you compare to that of the carbon dioxide, 70 to 80% major way of carbon dioxide transport is as bicarbonates, which is formed inside the RBC by the hydration reaction in the presence of the enzyme carbonic anhydrase, which will fasten the reaction between the hydration reaction of the carbon dioxide and the water to form carbonic acid, which dissociates into hydrogen and the bicarbonate. About 10 to 20% is in binding with the hemoglobin, and it forms carbaminohemoglobin, and the remaining 10% is in the dissolved form in the plasma. So if you look at the milliliters of the oxygen and the carbon dioxide that is transported, if the partial pressure of the oxygen is 100 mmHg, that is in the arterial side, if it is 97.5 saturated, if the hemoglobin is saturated with the oxygen, and if the hemoglobin percentage is 15 gram%, it carries about 20 ml of the oxygen per 100 ml deciliter of the blood. So it is 19.6 in the binding with hemoglobin and 0.3 in the dissolved state. And if you look at in the venous level, if the partial pressure is 40 mmHg, then it is 15 ml. So therefore the 5 ml of the oxygen is yielded to the tissue when it moves from the arterial to the venous side. So if you see in the carbon dioxide transport, about 48 ml of the carbon dioxide per deciliter is seen in the arterial blood, about 52 ml of the carbon dioxide per deciliter is seen in the venous blood. Therefore 4 ml of carbon dioxide is gained. So we do have something called respiratory quotient, which is the carbon dioxide produced to that of the oxygen consumed. That is 4 divided by 5, that is 0.8. So we had discussed about the Bohr effect in the oxygen transport, which explained the effect of the carbon dioxide and the hydrogen concentration in unloading and loading the oxygen, which is seen at the tissue level. Whereas we had seen a Haldane effect in the carbon dioxide transport, which explained the effect of the oxygen affinity to the carbon dioxide and hydrogen ion unloading and loading, which is seen at the lung level. We discussed about the Hofner's constant in the oxygen transport, which explains the binding capacity of the hemoglobin to the oxygen. So 1 gram of the hemoglobin carries 1.34 ml of oxygen, 1.34 ml of oxygen. We had discussed Hamburger shift in the transport of the carbon dioxide, which is whatever the bicarbonates that are produced will move out from the RBC to the plasma and from the plasma the chloride moves inside to maintain electrical neutrality through the transporter protein band 3, which is referred to be as Hamburger shift or chloride shift. We also studied the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve in the oxygen transport, which is S-shaped, sigmoid shaped curve, which will explain the oxygen binding and unbinding in response to that of the partial pressure of oxygen. As the partial pressure of the oxygen increases, the saturation of the hemoglobin with oxygen increases. As the partial pressure decreases, the saturation of the hemoglobin molecule with oxygen also decreases. We have also seen the hemoglobin dissociation curve can shift to left or right. The right is seen during the increased carbon dioxide, temperature, decreased pH, and also during the increased 2,3 bisphosphoglycerate. And shift to left is seen during decreased carbon dioxide, increased pH, decreased temperature, decreased amount of BPG, and it is also seen in the fetal hemoglobin, which has got high affinity for the oxygen, and also during the carbon monoxide. The carbon monoxide has got 200 times more affinity to the hemoglobin molecule when compared to that of the oxygen. So, bisphosphoglycerate is an organic compound which is produced during the glycolysis inside the RBC, which attaches to the hemoglobin and it stabilizes the hemoglobin. In the normal circumstances, it is dissolved. However, it is more produced during the anemia and also during the high altitude. So, it will either shift the curve to the right. And also we discussed a concept of cooperativity or cooperative binding, which is most important in the oxygen transfer, which explains if one molecule of the oxygen is bound to the iron, it changes the quaternary structure and it increases the affinity of the other heme molecules for the attachment of the oxygen. And we do have the hemoglobin myoglobin dissociation curve, that is oxygen myoglobin dissociation curve, which has a hyperbola shape, which is much more steeper than compared to that of the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve.